Mac and Dan on the couch raise their hands. Nothing to do but make some plans. Popcorn's gone, the night's still young. Star Trek reruns, bang that drum. Bottles open, DS9's in sight. Captain Sisko leads the fight. Federation's calling from TV land. Phaser set to stun on high command. Boldly go where no one's been. Mac and Dan, the conquering team. Reviewing space with snarky lines. Drinking games and warping minds. Boldly go where no one's been. Mac and Dan, the conquering team. Reviewing space with snarky lines. Drinking games and warping minds. Starfleet calls echo loud. Max spills his drink, laughs out proud. Dan's got the joystick, they jump to warp. Star Trek's their ship across the starlit orb. Galactic wars and twisted schemes. Delightful chaos ruling their dreams. Unpolished words and witty flair. Review with mischief without a care. Boldly go where no one's been. Mac and Dan, the conquering team. Reviewing space with snarky lines. Drinking games and warping minds.
My wife just got home with groceries, so that's gonna have to do. So the next episode, Errand of Mercy. With with Klingons raging, Kirk and Spock attempt to resist the occupation of a planet with incomprehensibly placid natives.
So, my first note for this episode was Core, Dahar Master.
Yeah. 4. The Dahar Master.
And I don't know if you noticed, if you paid any attention to like the digitally remastered Core's forehead, but they were definitely trying to give him the start, like the beginnings of the Klingon foreheads.
Were they trying to? Because I don't know, because they've retconned this whole Klingon things so many times. I wrote down D7 blue phasers. Man, they smashed they smashed the shit out of that D7. That was weird.
Mhm.
You know, like they just. Then they've got deflector screens again, and then I wrote, "Uh-oh, there's Klingons coming, and they are going to fuck you up."
They are indeed.
Um, Kirk says, "I'm a soldier, not a diplomat." Yeah, okay, that's the most self-aware I think Kirk has ever been, right?
Yeah.
I think that's why they made Picard a diplomat, not a soldier.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, I wonder how much of this is a conscious decision, right? Hey, Mr. Sulu, if anything happens, you kick rocks and get the hell over there. And then I wrote down, is this Core? Yup.
Yup. Is
Then-
this Core?
Yup.
Is this
Yep.
Core?
Yep, it's Core. And then he says again, Vulcanian.
Mm-hmm.
So we're still using Vulcanian. That word that I was convinced was a one-off and we were never going to see it again keeps popping up, right? Core isn't Core in troubles with Tribbles? I guess we'll see that coming up pretty soon. Right?
I believe he is, yes. I believe he is.
But do they even mention that they recognize each other or anything like that?
I don't know. We'll figure that out when we get there.
Yeah. I don't
Uh,
know. I don't know. I like that the Klingons were using phasers.
mhm.
Found that strange. Um,
Weapons of opportunity. They just had some lying around.
yeah. Well, Klingons are pirates, right? I mean, I guess they could have just taken them from somebody else. Ah, these are pretty. These will work. Cool. Whatever.
Yeah, it's a gun. It does what a gun does.
Yeah. Yeah. As long as I shoot the dangerous, I point this dangerous end at people and pull the trigger. If bad stuff happens, I'm good. Yeah.
So my question for you would be, at this point in time, we are officially introduced to the Klingons.
Hmm.
Given the nature of the show and the time in which it was written and aired, who do we think the Klingons are supposed to be? At this time in real world history, who do we believe the Klingons? Who were they supposed to be?
Oh, they were very warlike, right? Wasn't that their? That's a good question. The Canadians?
100% known for their savagery. 100% the Canadians.
I don't know. What are we got? The not. I don't know.
You're trying desperately
Uh,
not to offend anybody. I can hear it. You're just like,
no,
oh.
no. I'm trying to think of a good answer. Like, I mean, because Russia is obviously, but we already had the Russians,
With the
Romulan.
Romulans, yeah. Yeah.
So is this China? Maybe. I don't know.
Hmm.
Not really sure. Who do you think it's supposed to be?
I think you're probably right.
The Russians?
I think you're probably right. No, the Chinese. I think it might
You
be
think
the
it's the
Chinese.
Chinese?
Yeah, because
Okay.
the Russians are the Romulans are definitely the Russians, right? Right? Like definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's the only other person, the only other group of people it could be for this time, right? We could be entirely wrong. We could be entirely wrong, but there are so many parallels that you can draw
Yeah.
between different races and stories in Star Trek, especially from the earlier episodes, that it would be really difficult to not acknowledge that there is probably a real world link somewhere. I think I asked this before. Is there any ship worth picking up in the T5 Infinity Prize? I think one of your fleetmates is asking questions in the chat. Yeah, this was a good episode. I quite like this one. Um, we're introduced to Kor. He's clearly a complex character, even though the motives of the faction that he works with and for is, fairly straightforward. Um,
I mean, and let's be honest, the actor that plays him, I mean, he has been some of the greatest. You know, he was some of the greatest bad guys, right?
mhm, mhm,
I mean, Baltar, Core.
mhm.
So we retcon Core into a good guy.
We do, we do. Um, I quite liked as well that in this episode, massive spoilers, the Organians are not just, simple farmers. They make reference to the Klingons and the Federation being allies in the future. Um, and then later on in DS9, we're reintroduced to Core as an ally of a Federation officer to the point where they're essentially blood brothers.
Right.
so so you're like, we see that story, that element of the story come full circle, where we get to see him become the ally, right?
So here's my question. Okay, so let's back this up for a second, right?
Hmm.
How much time has passed between the end of TOS and the beginning of TNG?
Is it not like 80 years?
Okay, so there's 80 years there, right?
Right, because I'm sure when they find Scotty in the transporter, they say that he's been in there for like 80 years.
Okay. So how much time has passed between TNG and DS9? So it's been
Th-
85 years.
They happen in line with each other, do they not?
Yeah, so like kind of towards the end of TNG's run is when they start.
Oh, I
So
was wrong.
then it's
95 years. Generations
95
original
years.
series 95.
Okay, so let's say it's 100 years between TOS and how long do
DS9.
Klingons live?
DS9.
How long do Klingons live?
Well, I mean, you tell me, how long do you think you would live if you had two hearts and four lungs and 17 spleens? Like, you tell me, and an armor-plated spine. You tell me, how long do
I
you
guess.
think a Klingon lives?
Yeah, that's a good question. What is? Hold on, let's Google that because I'm sure I'm not the first person. Klingon lifespan. Because I mean, I guess yeah. Because what? 150 years.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
So he's
All
so
right.
he's fairly young in Errand of Mercy then.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, actually, let's see. How old is Core? Core Dahar Master. Because memory Alpha will tell us, will absolutely tell us.
Okay.
Um, Klingon, House of Core, Dahar Master, military officer, ambassador to Vulcan, deceased, killed in action, 2375. Okay. Um, let's see. How old is Core when he dies? Core, son of Reinar, born early 23rd century, died 2375. So, yeah, I mean, okay, so if we say early 23rd century, that's what, 22, 25, we'll say. And he dies at 2375, which is in the DS9 episode.
Mm-hmm.
Subscribe for 14 months, currently on a 14-month streak. Nice. Nice. Thank you for the subscription, James. Love you.
Hi, James.
um, yeah, let's just say he lives to 150. He was born early 23rd century, so we don't have an actual date for his date of birth, but we know he died in 2375. Korazi appeared in 2258 in a comic book, and he looks like a young man there, like somewhere in his 20s. So yeah, we'll say he was born in 2225. That lines up with his death in 2375. But yeah, Kor's a fantastic character. I liked him in this, um, and I like him in his DS9 reappearance as well. So I will happily say I'm a fan of Kor.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not a
So,
comically evil villain either. Like as he's introduced, like he does what he says, and he's practical. He doesn't make grand statements and then doesn't follow through. Like he does exactly what he says he's going to do. And then and then I don't know if you remember towards the end of the episode, as he's like trying to deal with the situation at hand, just before it all comes to a head with the. Oh, did my second screen just turn off? Something just happened. Um, he he loses it with his subordinates. Like smashes these doors open, goes into his office, waving his arms, and he's like screaming and shouting about how his own men are incompetent. Just like I understand that. I fully
Mhm.
appreciate how that feels.
Did you find it funny that Kirk was like, we gotta get him to fight. We gotta get these guys to fight, right? We gotta get him to fight. We gotta get him to fight. So eventually, like, they go blow some shit. This, that, do the other thing. Kurt finally goes like, "Give me my phaser," right?
Mm.
And they give him the phaser, and he's like, "All right, well, I don't like any of you, but I'm gonna go out there and die now."
Yeah,
What?
because we're establishing this death in combat thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. Cool. You're gonna go out there and die now. Whatever. Whatever. Um. This was, the Universal Super Being said that nobody has died there for thousands of years.
yeah,
And I wrote down, is it another universal super being? And then, hey, guess what? A
Yeah,
couple of minutes later, it's another universal super being, which makes I don't even know. I've count
we're
of how many universal.
definitely in at least the dozen range, right?
Yeah, there've been a lot of universal super beings
Again,
in this episode.
another Stargate episode character, right? Like the Organians are just the ancients.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a good pull. Yeah, they're the ancients. It definitely kind of felt that way, right? Because I was like, oh, so you wonder, like, do you think they stole? You think they stole it from them?
I think it would be really hard to say that any sci-fi series that came out after like TOS is not in some way inspired by these things, right? Like I think I feel like it would be hard for anybody to make that kind of statement because
So what?
there's so many stories you can tell, but there are stories that resonate with people, and there's clearly some sort of draw towards the story of all powerful beings, you know, with inexplicable powers in a sci-fi setting because it happens in nearly every sci-fi franchise. There's always at least one beyond comprehension alien species, right? There's always at least one. Um, it's just in TOS, it's always the case that there's more than one, and also they are the ones who save the day in the episodes that they're in because it's their problems that are coming to the door of the heroes.
Right.
So, although in this case the heroes were trying to save people that they thought need saved, and ended up being stuck in a situation where they had to deal with an enemy that otherwise they wouldn't have had to deal with. So the good guys were trying to do something good based on what they observed as accurate information, and then essentially put themselves at risk for no good reason because the people they were trying to defend were actually more than capable of defending themselves.
I mean, the guy going like the first time they go into that council chamber and there's that dude at the end of the table going, the fleet has Klingon fleet has made it into orbit. You
Mhm.
know,
You start
how the hell does
questioning it,
he
you're
know?
like, hold on a minute. So,
What the
hold on a minute.
what? Yeah, what the hell is going on here, right? But I don't know. I don't know. How many? What? All right. Any last thoughts on this one?
Um, Core, the Harm Master.
Core. Okay. All
Core.
right. Yeah, Core. What did he say he was a Dahar master in this one?
No, no, he does
He was
not.
like I think he was a general, right? General Core or something.
Governor,
Governor Core. Okay.
military
Well,
governor.
they made that decision pretty quick, right? It was like Core, get down there. You're now the military.
But at this point in time, though, he's actually been the least dislikable ambassador governor level character that we've been introduced to in the show, and
Absolutely.
he was the bad
Absolutely.
guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Good point. Good
No,
point. But do we like him? Here's the question: do we like him
because of who he
be-
becomes.
because of who he becomes?
I I think again it would be hard to say that that's not a factor, but in
Yeah.
terms of characters that the crew have come up against so far,
Hmm.
even as he's written in the episode, he's more compelling than Godlike Being number 75, who just happened to
I
be
don't.
Gary 7,
Yeah,
and it
Gary
was a
number 7.
transporter accident, or the mushroom plants did the thing
Mm,
again, So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think in terms of a character that's been written well and played well by the actor that has had the part, I think Core is definitely up there. Definitely up there.
So we got the Romulan captain and the Klingon captain are probably the two. Romulan captain, Klingon captain, and Khan are probably my three favorites so far from this
Yeah.
season.
And if we think about it in the frame of, real world, these are actors playing parts. All three of these characters come back either as the same characters again or as
Right,
different characters but still prominent within the story. And I think that's a really good that's a really good indicator that you've had either a really good character or you've got an actor who can pull off any character you write for them.
right.
Um,
The
Yeah.
Jeffrey Combs of their time.
Of their time, yeah, yeah.
Well, I gave this one a 7 Dahar Masters out of 10.
Okay,
What about
okay.
you? What about you?
I'd give it an 8. I'd give it an 8. I think it's a
You're gonna
solid
yeah,
episode, yeah. I think the only thing that
absolutely
lets it down is that the Organians are too um
passive.
are too passive, yeah, they're way too passive. And to the point where they don't explain why they're passive until lots of crap has already gone down, which they could have completely avoided by I mean I get that the episode wouldn't have been a thing had that been the case, but like these are supposedly beings of significant power who are thousands of years old and they don't know how to just speak plainly. I hate that. That annoys me. It's like, so yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 8. Otherwise it would be a 9. Otherwise it'd be a 9.
Second. Yeah, let me see if I can pull up.
The alternative factor.
You know, we'll wait till we get it pulled up. Oh, I already had it pulled up. Burp.
Burp.
All right. The alternative factor. Existence itself comes under fire from a man's power struggle with his alternative self, with the Enterprise's strained dilithium presenting his key to the final solution.
I didn't like this episode. Didn't
Okay, well,
didn't like this one. It felt a bit up its own arse. I gotta be honest.
well, the first thing I wrote down is the setup makes me go ugh.
Yeah.
Like it just wasn't well done. But then I wrote down, oh cool, like they got down to the planet, right? And I wrote, oh cool, it's this episode, because again, this is one of those episodes. Kid, and would I still like it as an adult? One of the things I wrote down is, oh my god, what a fall, because the dude, like, he falls. Like when he falls when they first see him, right? You're like, wow, what a fall. That was a hell of a stunt there, pal.
Thank God that rock face was made out of paper mache. Yeah, Jesus.
Rubber. Yeah. What was this the first time that are they? Because it's been lithium crystals up until now, right? Was this the first mention of dilithium crystals?
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was.
So that's pretty important. Now we'll see if they go back to lithium crystals after this, but
No, I'm trying to remember the difference, right? Dilithium is just lithium, right?
I don't know.
Right, and it's just an element mixed with dihydrogen, right, or whatever.
I'm not a chemist. I don't know.
I can never remember. It's explained at some point in the future what it actually is supposed to be. But pass.
I wrote down the blue fight scenes they're so good. I really enjoy
where they put like the negative on the film, and then you just have to try and make sense of what you're looking at, even though it's at a 175-degree angle, and you're just like
yeah. The blue blue fights, and then the spinning, much like the Super Friends or something. It was pretty entertaining.
That must have caused an absolute bomb to do on a TV budget back in the day, because like that's special effects. Like that's you putting special effects through your production phase, right? So like that must have cost an absolute fortune to do, and they do it so frequently as well. like every 10 minutes there's a scene where he's fighting himself in the blue fight scenes, and you're just like, good God, man! Like just hurry up! like Jesus Christ.
So the thing that I noticed, so the first time that thing happens, right? they're like it's like ripping time apart, and like the the Enterprise, the crew is getting thrown all around, and
Hmm.
all this stuff. But then it's like it, they stop mentioning that. Is it stop getting easier? Is it, I don't know. It just felt a little weird.
Yeah, they set the tone of every time this happens, the universe is in great danger, and then by the time he walks out of the sick bay with the plaster on his forehead, he's having he seems to be having what appears to be fits where he's fighting himself, but
Hmm.
nobody else is reacting to what's going on at all. Like
Yeah. So I one of the things I wrote down. So this felt very much like a story,
like a what
a
story?
little bit like a Lazarus Man story.
Well, I mean
Lazarus Man.
his name was Lazarus.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and so I wrote down, like, I wonder how many times Lazarus Man stories are retold in current, or in fiction. How many times do we retell Lazarus Man?
Well, you
Um,
know where it comes from, right?
the Bible.
Yes.
There's this big old piece of. Never mind. Um, I wrote down that the guy liner is strong in this episode.
Yeah, and the really wispy beard for some reason.
Yeah, yeah, it was pretty good. It's pretty good. I mean, that was I think that was a very 1960s like hipster. That was like their version of the hipsters, right? That was like a 1960s hipster beard.
Was it?
I think so.
I was
When you
just gonna
watch a
go
lot of,
with the costume department really dropped the ball on the prosthetic beards.
I mean, it felt very 60s hipster, right? Um,
I'll need to trust you with that. I'm not a dinosaur like you.
well, I mean, if you've ever watched like an old, like any of those old like Beach Blanket, any of those old like 60s like movies, like there's always that have the kind of the counterculture in them
Hmm.
at all,
Do you think
right?
I do
They'll
that?
always.
Think I do that often?
You should. I mean, it's good for you. Watch also all those old Elvis movies and
Oh
Beach Blanket
God.
Bingo, and
Good God. It's like you
yeah,
hate
man.
me or something. You wish that on people. You should go back and watch the Elvis movies, said the man to people he wanted to suffer. Oh
uh,
God. No, it's never really been my cup of tea. It's never really been my cup of tea. I can appreciate
what?
that they are culturally relevant, but I can appreciate something's position in history without having to experience it myself. You know?
Okay. Okay. Well, hold on. Did you see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
I have, yes.
Okay. So like the Manson people, like you know, that's what it felt like to me, right? It was like the
Mhm,
Manson people.
mhm.
Um, so spinning blue screens, very 60s, more fights. Holy cow, Madman Time. Is he a time traveler? Is this second time crime?
Interdimensional traveler,
Yeah, is this the second time crime?
yeah.
Are we getting the Muscle Man out of Bay? And what a scuffle! He wasn't ready.
He wasn't ready.
Uh, yeah, he wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. I would have done better if I was ready. Um,
Oh, did anybody get Wells there? I think somebody did.
I did not. Here was my really the kind of the last thing is, so you've got a sane guy and a crazy guy, and they end up locked in this hallway, this negative space hallway forever,
Hmm.
right? How long can you go crazy, right?
How long can you go crazy, or how long? What?
Yeah, how long? How long can you go crazy? So like one of the guys was crazy, right? That was crazy. And I'm gonna do something, right?
Hmm.
I'm gonna fight people. I'm gonna do whatever, right?
Okay.
I gotta kill that man because he's just like me, and blah blah blah. So, my question is, how long can you go crazy? He's in there forever. Do you think at a certain point in time they're just in there like? this replicator. I can make us some tea and we can just hang out and like chit chat and stuff. You want to play some chess? I've got a chessboard in my pocket. What like, or do you think they're just in there? They're still in that negative space fighting today.
Locked in combat. Um,
Locked in combat. I mean, do you ever get tired? I mean,
well, I mean,
you know.
I think from the perspective of the story they were trying to tell from the science fiction point of view versus the fact that they called the guy Lazarus, um,
Hmm.
I think it'd be fairly safe to say that you could interpret that as they are eternally locked in this fight for supremacy, right? Um, Doomed to repeat themselves infinitely forever.
Hmm.
Because that kind of feels like a good way to end that story. Because then you don't need to deal with it. It's not a story with a loose end because it just goes on forever.
The one thing I did like, the one thing that I did like was the little role reversal they did there, right? Where it was the guy that you think is the sane guy.
Hmm.
He's like, "There's a monster, we gotta kill it." That guy. That version of Lazarus ends up being the
The
bad
the
guy.
crazy one. Yeah.
Yeah, the bad guy, and the good guy ends up being the other guy. I
Mhm.
found that interesting.
I guess the thing is, right, like you would need to, I mean, look at it from the point of view of you're just some guy, and one day a version of yourself that you recognize as you just appears and
That'd be
and
cool.
has to occupy the same space as you in space time, right? And you know, you are just some dude. You would go mental, right? Like you would go crazy try to reconcile that.
Would I?
Of course,
Or
of
would I
course you
be
would.
like, oh, dude? Or would I just be like, hey, man, what's happening?
Well, I mean, people snap over lesser things on a regular basis, right? So like, it's
Yeah, I
no too
guess you're
much
right.
stretch to assume that somebody would see themselves from another universe, another space time, and just flip out, right? Like, people break down over running out of toothpaste for Christ's sake.
Do
Yeah,
they?
yeah, people all the time, all the time.
If
Have you looked outside your window recently? Society is on fire. It's on it's on fire. It's because everyone's run out of toothpaste. So It's- I could see that. I could see that being a thing that breaks a person's mental state, like just breaks them down into this raving lunatic, this violent person.
all right, all right, all right. I gave this a 6. I don't. I
Mm,
feel like it's one better than a holodeck episode.
mm, mm,
I also said I feel like we will see this whole like he's trapped in there forever. There's no escape. He's trapped forever. Feels like something we'll see again.
mm.
And then really I like the idea of like how long can you just be crazy? I mean, if you have an infinite amount of time, do you think that eventually, well, how many times do we see it now? Crazy, I got better. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, it depends on how time passes in this infinite space as well, right? Does time pass at the same rate for them as it does for us? Does it pass
yeah,
faster? Slower?
that's that's a
At
long
all?
time to be crazy. It's a long time to be crazy. I'm just
Mm.
saying, you know.
I feel like anyone who's ever been crazy will tell you anytime being crazy is too long being crazy.
Okay, all right.
That was a bad 5 minutes, That was a bad 5 years. It's the same thing.
Yeah. That boy that 5 minutes felt like an eternity. Yeah, I get it. I get it. So what do you give it? I gave it a. You said you didn't
Mm,
like it. So where are you at?
4, 5, 4, 4.
4?
Yeah,
4? Worse than a holodeck episode, says Mac. That's fine.
yeah, yeah. It's an interesting idea. It's an interesting idea. I feel like the themes were too, a little bit too convoluted for it to be a good story. That they do it better later on in other Star Trek, um, like Voyager, when Seven of Nine has to go back in time to
Mhm.
stop the temporal terrorist guy for blowing up Voyager, and
Mhm.
just being in the same space time as herself makes her physically ill to the point where she's dying because she can't
Mhm.
exist in the same space twice. Like, and the repercussions of that. Like, I feel like that version of the story where people spend time in the same space was a better telling of that kind of idea. The eternal,
Mhm.
the eternal fight going crazy thing just kind of felt a bit. Felt like a bit much.
If you didn't like it, you didn't like it. It's all good.
I didn't
All
like
right,
it.
that's fine. Season 1, episode 29, The City on the Edge Forever.
Hmm.
The synopsis: when a temporarily insane Dr. McCoy accidentally changes history and destroys his time, Spock follow him to prevent the disaster, but the price to do so is high.
Yes.
So you and I, we have a joke, right? The joke is that all everything's Daniel's fault.
Hmm.
So
Literally
now
everything. Yeah.
everything is Daniel's fault. Well, now everything is Daniel's fault up until he gets to McCoy. It gets to right here, and now it's McCoy's fault from now on.
Okay. I can see
Because
why. I can see why you're saying that. I can see why you're saying
yeah,
that.
yeah, it's all McCoy's fault. All right, they're going that way, so I'm gonna here. We can't leave the one dude over here by himself.
Sure, we can. It's only an advanced.
I mean, I can. Look, we'll see how he does.
We'll see how it does.
All right. Starts with a red alert, and there's still no checkoff. So,
Mhm.
spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! There is no checkoff in season 1. So
None at all.
we were. I don't remember what you said. You said you thought it was towards the end of season 1. I said or episodes into season 2.
Hmm.
That's what I thought it was going to happen. So it'll on the over under. I'm still doing all right.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, ripples in time. Something or someone is affecting time. Dude, that whole McCoy madness thing, like he looked like a wild-eyed psychopath.
I mean, DeForest Kelly is a fantastic actor, and
Yeah.
I think his time spent on TOS was a benefit to anyone that's into sci-fi because
Mhm.
he plays the part so well, right? He's got such a fantastic range as the belligerent "I'm done with everything" arsehole doctor. He
Yeah.
really does. He really does such a good
Yeah.
job with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, the transporter chief jumpsuit is still in full effect, but I'm feeling like that's gonna change. Like that he's gonna eventually have like a red uniform on and not this weird jumpsuit thing that he's wearing. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. You said I'm gonna be wrong about that.
I think
I
it
wrote down.
continues into the movies. I honestly think from memory that it
Okay.
continues into the movies. Yeah.
All right. I wrote down. I love the portals. They're such cool missions in Star Trek, right?
Or the Guardian stuff.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Guardian stuff.
yeah. I like it. I like the idea. I do like the idea. Um, this idea that there's just a sentient doorway through time and space, just chilling on a planet, but it can go wherever it wants and do whatever it wants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I liked it. So they have to save. I wrote down. So they have to save McCoy, which means that everything that happens from now on is McCoy's fault, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Um.
This is where Star Trek loses its way, because we have our first really bad temporal episode where things get really messed up, and everything after this is just not the way it was supposed to be.
hmm hmm Yeah. I mean, we've got a problem here, right? I like that they go back, Spock and Kirk, right? They're standing there and they're, this is something that they like the in Enterprise. They do some research about the planet and then make clothes that are more appropriate to the planet. This is something that you see them doing in TNG. You see them doing in
Trying to fit in.
space.
Yeah.
Yeah, trying to blend, motherfuckers, blend just a little bit, just blend in, right? I feel like they do it in everything. Not in TOS. It was like, nah, we're just gonna beam down to 1930s America in our crazy space uniforms that look like pajamas.
So I think
You
that
know.
might be tied to the Prime Directive still isn't officially a thing, right?
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a good point.
Like
It's a
they're
good
not
point.
worried about contaminating societies and stuff because they're like, we're here to F shit up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 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 The why did Spock's ears the way they are? He had a picker accident in China. Like
Mhm.
what in the name of all that is who thought that was a good idea? Again, it's
Incredibly
the same.
forward thinking writing and production for its time.
Yeah. for
Still
for
very backwards.
for its time is the important part of that statement, right? Whew,
Mm,
for its time, it was incredibly forward thinking, but jeez,
yeah.
he had a rice picker accident in China.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very on the nose. It's very, very on the nose. But there's been a lot of that, right, in the first season at TOS, and I suspect it's going to continue all the way through season 2 and 3 as well, where there's going to be statements made or actions taken that just wouldn't be considered to be okay if it was a show
I'm gonna
written today, right? Like, let's be
I'm,
honest.
I'm gonna say that we're gonna find episode like it. We're gonna find examples of this all the way up through TNG.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah.
You know that where you're gonna be like, "Eee." I mean, I have a feeling that we're gonna go back and look at Riker, and Riker's gonna be a sexual predator. Like we're just gonna be like, wow, that dude he was just
It's
boning everything, wasn't
season
he?
1, season 2, maybe. I think it comes down quite a bit,
Oh yeah, but
but
I definitely
yeah, we're
yeah
definitely be dealing with it even then.
yeah yeah. Goatee length equals less of a predator, maybe. I don't know. Let's see. Let's see.
So what happens when he shaves it all off? He
Yeah,
shaves it all off for that one season.
yeah. He's. I wrote. All right, so I wrote. Right. I said. I wrote down one of the things I found really funny was Spock says, "You've got me. You're asking me to do something in a zinc plated vacuum tube world." I'm like, man,
Hmm.
like that's pretty good. He called the 1930s were very barbaric,
It's not
which
wrong.
I mean, I guess so, right?
Not wrong. He's not wrong. It's not. I actually quite like this episode. I'll be honest. I quite like this episode.
It's one of
There's,
my favorite episodes of season one we've seen so
yeah,
far.
yeah.
To be honest with you, I think it had the most adult storytelling
Okay.
of all of the. It wasn't like ooh big scary monster, ooh rock monster, ooh universal being. There's something wrong with time and we've got to fix it, right? And we've got to
Hmm.
go back to the 30s to do it. And I don't know. I wrote down they soften the girl's faces and eyes in this episode, like,
Hmm.
and she is not a. She said if you. Uh, I don't know. I can't remember my writing now. He called her like a do-gooder. Oh, she's a do-gooder from X, Y, and Z, and he's like, she's not a do. And if you don't like that, you can leave.
Hmm.
Oh, okay. So here it was, right? They talk about atoms, right?
Hmm.
And Spock is talking about the atomic structure of things and atoms. And I wrote down like in the 1930s, did they know about atoms, right? Did they have microscopes that could see an atom? And the answer is that atoms were first discovered in 1827
Hmm.
by. Do you know? Do you know? Do you know?
Pass.
A Scottish botanist. I didn't write down his name, but yet another thing that the Scots gave us, the atom.
I don't know if we can claim that. I don't know if we can claim that. I'm pretty sure they were already there.
Well, they were there, but you discovered them.
God help us if we decide to get up and go again, by the way, because the world is not ready for another Scottish invention.
I'm ready for another Scottish invention.
The television and the motor vehicle has ruined everything. We don't need more.
What about the train? Didn't you do the train?
Trains, trains, planes, fucking phones, telephones.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. Hey, look. Did you notice the size of that baloney that he bought?
The one that was big enough to club a seal with. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that was impressive. Well,
I mean,
I
that's what you
like
want,
that.
though, right? You buy a balloon, you want it to be a substantial one. You want it to last a while, because that shit's expensive.
So what it was like so what can you pay us? I could pay you 15 cents an hour for 10 hours a day. So they're making $1.50 a day, right?
Yep.
Uh, um
Just for inflation, what were they getting paid per hour?
yeah, I don't know. 12.50, I don't know. Something. Oh, still didn't seem like much.
Hmm.
Hey, look, Captain, tools for finely detailed work, and then Spock just goes over there and picks that lock like it's not even there. That I found kind of funny.
Talking to the man who can do anything if he sets his mind to it. Of course, he did it effortlessly.
I wrote Keller and Kirk sitting in a tree. Kissing.
You know, it's something we haven't talked about this stream, but these episodes have been oddly absent of the Kirk sexual assault that we've been used
Yeah,
to seeing.
yeah.
These episodes have significantly less of that in it. So,
That's very true. That's very true. Like he was very hands offish with Keller.
mhm,
I thought that was cool. I wrote down it's the first time we get to see the city and realize oh, work right, which
mhm,
I thought was kind of cool. Like it was just a nondescript city before, and then you see, like, oh look, they're in New York City. I wrote McCoy is here, crazy McCoy. Yep. And then I was like, what happened? They were like, McCoy, you look, DeForest, you look crazy, but you don't look crazy enough. Let's give you some crazy purple pink splotches on your face, right?
mhm, mhm. Let's make you look actually ill.
Hmm. Then it was like, I wrote down again, everything is McCoy's fault. Kirk saves her, but everything is still McCoy's fault, right?
Mhm.
Because he saves her from falling down the stairs. Um, and I wrote down, it's McCoy's fault. What a jerk, right?
What a jerk.
What a jerk. Then the next question is where is Daniel? Right? Wouldn't he have been hanging out around here
He'll be
somewhere?
somewhere, yeah. He'll be somewhere. He's got his finger in every pie that exists in the Star Trek universe.
Yep. So where do you think Daniels was? Which supporting character was Daniels? Question.
Hmm. Hmm. It would need to be someone unassuming, right? There'd need to be someone unassuming. I don't know, a postman in the background or something.
Do we go postman in the back, or is he? Well, I guess the ship is gone, so he can't be on the ship. I'm gonna say he's the transporter chief on the ship.
The
That's what I'm gonna
transporter
say.
chief. Okay.
Yeah. Um. At the very end, he says, "Let's get the hell out of here."
Mhm. Mhm.
I wrote down such saucy language
I
for
know.
1960
I know. That would
television,
have
right?
to been after the watershed, right?
Yeah, that was such saucy language. I couldn't believe he said hell like
Salacious,
that.
salacious
Yeah,
speech in Star Trek, the original series, or at the time just Star Trek.
dude. But I like all of the Portal episodes. They all hold up, right? They
Hmm.
all hold up. Um,
I even thought the Discovery episode with the Guardian was pretty solid.
well, I thought the episode on Bajor was really good as well, right? Where
Mm.
she falls through the portal. I mean, any episode where somebody falls through the portal and goes back in time, they're they're all really good. The ones in TNG, I feel like they were really good. I know the one on DS9. DS9 is really
Mhm.
the Discovery one. I don't remember that well, but I look forward to seeing it or whatever. I gave this a 9 out of 10. What do you got?
I mean, I was struggling to give it an 8 because I wanted to give it a 9. So we'll just go with 9 because it is a good episode. It is a very good episode. Um, and you're right. Every Portal episode is a banger. It doesn't matter which Star Trek it is. Every Portal
Yeah,
episode is a banger.
yeah, yeah. And then we get to season 1, episode 30, Operation Annihilate. The Enterprise crew attempts to stop a plague of amoeba-like plant creatures from possessing human hosts and spreading through the galaxy.
Mhm. Yep. And for those of you that are watching that play Star Trek Online, yes, this is the opening tutorial missions for the original series temporal characters. It
Oh yeah, it is, isn't it?
is, yep. It is indeed. Ridiculous
It's,
bloody things. Except in STO, they're unleashed on people by the Nakul. So yeah, so
um,
definitely Daniels is involved in this one as well somewhere.
yeah. Uh, when they first said this Operation Annihilation, thing I wrote, still no checkoff, so we don't get a checkoff at all.
Season
No
one,
check,
no Chekhov.
no checkoff. Bummer. They're showing the pattern of it going in a straight line across the galaxy, and I was like, oh God, is this Days of Doom? Is that what we're
Mm,
about to see? Is Days of Doom? That's what I thought it was going to be at first, and then I was like, oh man, I'm Days of Doom, right? Um, um, uh, then Sulu, like, he gets nervous and he does this thing where it's like he rubs his lip, almost bites his finger thing. This is a Sulu the Madman actor thing that he does a lot.
yes,
Um, he does this a lot. Is this Denovia? Is that what they said? It's Denovia, right?
Denovia, yeah, yeah.
Is that where the slime devils come from?
The Slime Devils, yeah, the Slime Devils, yeah. Let me just have a wee look because I'm on Memory Alpha just now. Bom, bom, bom. Deneva, Deneva,
Mm. Okay.
Deneva, Deneva,
Okay, so
or
not the
Deneva.
Denovia, so not the slime devils.
No, Denobulan Slime Devils is Phlox.
Yeah, I know. So Uhura was suddenly wearing a belt, and I
Yeah.
wrote down, "Do they all have belts?" And the answer was yes. And then in the very next episode, there's a bunch of yeomen walking around without belts on. It was very strange. They do mention the Federation, so
Mm.
again, we get our second mention of the Federation. The Bible is starting to come together, right?
Is this the second or is it the third? Because I'm sure the ambassador in the War Games episode refers to Federation Central.
Hmm. Um, I wrote down, was this the office park? Was this office park just like the headquarters of a studio? They're just walking around in the headquarters of the studio, right?
Right. Let me have a
Um,
look at the set pictures because I get what you're saying, right? Because it did
yeah,
feel
yeah,
like they're
yeah,
just stoating around in a car park, doesn't it?
yeah. I
Like
wrote down Sam is smoked, right? Sam is dead.
Sam's dead, yeah.
And I said Nurse Ratchet is back and she has the Spock hots, right?
Spock
And
Hots. Spock Hots, I
well,
love it.
and really honestly, like when I watched this back, right, knowing what they do in Strange New Worlds with the Spock hots, between her and him, you kind of go like, huh, okay, okay, all right, cool. Like I was like, well, that just seemed weird, right? When I watched Strange New Worlds, it just seemed weird for them two to have any kind of like
Chemistry.
something going on.
Yeah.
But now watching these old episodes, I'm like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. Yeah, it totally makes sense.
I think that's the thing about Strange New World is that they're trying to build the character backstories for the original series because it's their intention not to re-release the original series with that guy that was in the Vampire Diaries, the guy that plays Kirk. What's his name? Uh, uh, Christ.
No, I don't think it was Christ.
No, he was in the Lazarus one. He was in the Lazarus. Paul Wesley as the new Kirk, because like they have to eventually do, Pike in the wheelchair, right? So
Do they?
yeah, of course they do.
You think they have to do that? I just thought that they would just do 5 seasons of Strange New Worlds and call it a day.
They will absolutely do the full thing, and then they'll go into TOS. Because what other projects have they got in the works just now that's an actual series?
I
Discovery's
don't know.
finished.
Thank God.
There was talk of them redoing Voyager, right?
Well, they're doing a are they doing a they're doing a Jerry Ryan movie? Is that
Was it a movie or was it a series? I can never remember. I
well, I
know they
thought
were
it was
doing
supposed
a
to be a
Section 31
series.
movie, TV movie.
Yeah, Section 31 movie. Man, I don't know.
No idea.
So he's playing. He's like, I'm playing. He's like, don't play your Vulcan mind games. And I wrote down half Vulcan mind games,
Half
right?
fucking. I know how many times this season have they called has Kirk called Spock a
Half-breed.
half breed this that or the next thing? It's not okay. These
Yeah,
guys are supposed to be friends.
yeah. Yeah. But I mean, he definitely is always ribbing him, right? Like,
Oh, 100%.
I
He's
don't,
always he's always probing for an emotional response every single time
yeah,
we see them
yeah,
having a
yeah.
wee moment.
Yep. Always looking, right? Man, we smashed the shit out of that cube. So we're gonna leave you here, Spock, and they just tie him to the bed.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and what does Kirk say? I don't care what it takes, what it costs. What do you mean, what it costs? Like, is he talking about like in lives and in money, whatever?
I mean, you talk to me about cost. Like, what are we measuring in?
Yeah, what are we measuring in? You said cost. What kind of cost do we have?
What are we talking? How many strips of how many strips of latinum for a
Damn
Vulcan
right.
for a Vulcan tied to a bed? Huh? Is it?
Yeah. Uh,
No.
I'm sure that's in
Oh, no
Quark's
doubt, no doubt. He's holodeck repertoire. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, Vulcan tied to a bed. So is the stun beam blue and red is kill now? Is that what we've got going on?
I think we've established that, yeah, because we've seen it twice now in the last 10 episodes, right, where they've
Okay.
wide beamed a group of people with a blue beam and it knocks them out, doesn't kill them. So we've seen it twice
So
now.
Kurt yells, "We have 14 science labs on the 1701." Wow, that was that's a lot of science labs.
There's a lot of science
On it.
labs. But then that's the thing, right, is the Enterprise, the 1701 Enterprise was meant to be an exploratory vessel, right? So it makes sense that it would have a lot of science labs, right?
So I wrote down so we got to kill it because killing is my business and business is good. What's another million people dead? Who cares, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I wrote down like they beam back down to the planet. Spock beams down. He gets one. They bring it back up. They're doing all the tests on it. They figure out what it's going to take to kill it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Light.
then yeah, like, ooh, that was
Whoa.
tough.
Thank God for those
Ooh,
14 science labs, though. Jeez,
yeah. The satellite scene, I was like, wow, is that an updated scene? It looks too good for 1966. So I looked. I was like, that's definitely that was something that got updated.
Yeah.
And then obviously, Spock is blind. You know,
Yeah.
Spock is blind,
Spock is blind. Yeah.
and then he's not blind because Vulcans have
Super fast regenerative, like
no.
healing
It's
factor.
it's because they have internal eyelids.
I'm sure we've talked about this before, have we not?
No, this is the first time they mentioned that Kirk blinks, or Spock has two sets of eyes, one in and one out. And then the season ends on a cheesy Vulcan ear joke.
Yeah, because of course you have to leave off on essentially a racist joke, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of course you do.
Yeah.
But then they didn't know they were getting continued for a second or third season at this point, right? So,
I mean, I am sure those actors are sitting there like, this is a one-off. We're never picked up. This shit's so stupid. I'm sure they thought that, right?
hmm Fleet hay
I'm sure.
packs, expendable red shirts. Hey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, not a bad episode, right? Not by any stretch of the imaginations, but the the episode itself could have been a lot better.
It's
Um,
it's a it definitely after the last episode too. Like when you watch those two back to back, yeah. I mean, it's not move along home bad, but
no,
it's just okay. Like
I think
I don't know.
realistically, if we were to look at this as a project, right, going forward, the recommendations we would have for people would be things like only watch the top rated episodes. An 8 on IMDb probably is worth watching. Everything else just avoid at all costs. So what would that take us to? Let's have a wee look.
I don't know. I didn't write down. I have them written down all over the place. Give me a second. I can.
Star Trek. So it'll be like all episodes. All episodes. Okay, so anything over an 8. Um, so we would start with the Corbinite maneuver. That's the first Federation.
Okay.
Then Menagerie Part 1 and Part 2, which is good because it gives you the pilot episode stuff,
Okay.
but also sets up
Okay.
characters' responsibilities and stuff.
Okay.
Then the Balance of Terror.
Okay.
Then uh, Space Seed. Then A Taste of
Okay.
Armageddon, which is the computer war games one. The Devil in the Dark. Errand of
Okay.
Mercy.
Okay.
The City on the Edge of Forever. And that would be it,
Okay.
right? That would be it.
Yeah.
And I would
Yeah.
argue that those have been the episodes that we have also
Yeah.
said
Absolutely.
were 100% worth watching. I think the
Yeah.
only exception there was the War Games one.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah,
think that one's a little weak. I don't know that I don't think I gave that an 8. I don't know. I'd
yeah,
have to go back and look. So I gave this episode a 5. It's a holodeck episode.
yeah, yeah. It's an interesting idea. Mind control and you know, microwave pudding.
Yeah. Microwave pudding.
how how anything? I mean, just the sheer level of ineptitude for something like that actually being able to happen, right? Like these things fall off of ceilings and walls and like throw them. Like it was really bad. Like if it was puppet work, it was really bad. If it was tricks of the camera, like no, no, I'm sorry. Like this episode was hot garbage. It's an interesting idea, wasn't executed terribly well. Um,
Definitely sets up like some interesting science fiction in the future, right?
mhm,
It's definitely a trope that I think that writers lean back on. I mean, I think they already did it once because they had spores that took over people's brains.
mhm, mhm.
The
And this is
first time
essentially that story again, but it's
with
a
It's
creature that wants to wage a war rather than something that unifies people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Instead of a good spore, it's a bad
It's a
spore.
bad spore.
You know what's funny is like I bet the two of us could be writers. Like if this is the level, go back to 1960 whatever it was.
Mhm.
I bet we could get ourselves hired as writers
I mean,
on the science
I've
fiction.
seen the quality of the writing for a lot
Yeah,
of TV these
exactly.
days. It seemingly isn't
Yeah.
that hard to get hired as a writer nowadays.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah.
That sounds awful. I don't want to diminish the fact that people work really hard to get these jobs. And some of them are
I
really
think
good, but like the vast
yeah.
majority of screenwriters for TV these days are garbage. Yeah.
Well, it's definitely the Hollywood system is definitely there's a formula. It's
Hmm.
A plus B plus C times D equals write an episode, written
Hmm.
episode, right? It's very formulaic. But I mean, how much of that do we blame on non-scripted television, right? Like, because there's so much, because there's so much non-scripted TV these
Hmm.
days. How much do we go like, well, these guys aren't getting to flex their chops?
Yeah. My concern with the way current television is going with all the reboots of stuff is that we're going down the same route as game development studios have gone down, which
Mm-hmm.
is we're terrified of making something new. So what we do is we just take a formula that we know works and rehash it again for the seventh time.
And they
You know,
and
like
again
the
and
FIFA
again.
games, the Call of Duty games, or things like that. Um, which is one of the reasons why I was really hesitant to pick up Strange New Worlds when it first came out because I was just kind of like, this is just going to be TOS but with modern graphics and writing, modern politics shoehorned in. Like that's what's going to end up happening. And then the episodes that were their own were actually some of them were really good. And then the episodes where they absolutely did copy stuff from TOS, like um, what you call it, thing with Terror
Mhm.
and Balance of Terror. Their version of Balance of Terror was really good. It was really good. Um, but my concern is that we're going down this path of there's no such thing as an original story, so why even bother trying, right? Um,
Well,
and
I think
then they ruin.
there is some good TV out there, but it's definitely getting because there's so many choices. You don't have these super crack. I mean, back in the day, there was 3 channels. You know,
Mm,
and 3 channels, and there was probably I don't know. You want to say 25 shows? I don't know. Let's see. 2 shows a night. There's an 8 o'clock and a 9 o'clock, right?
mhm.
6 days a week or 5 days a week. So it's saying it's 6 days a week. There's only 12 shows. So
No,
I don't know. I don't know. So you had there's a lot of writers now.
well, there's a lot of people that want to be writers.
That sit in those rooms.
Yeah, and realistically, anyone that can put a pen to paper is a writer, but the quality of what comes out the other side is not guaranteed, right?
I don't disagree. I don't disagree. So I mean, overall thoughts on season.
Um, it's been a mixed bag. I think the good episodes have been really, really good. Um, but the vast majority of them have been middle of the road or subpar. Um, I can absolutely understand why audiences didn't immediately pick up on it when it first aired. Um, because there really was nothing else like it on TV, right? Um, TOS these days uh, has the benefit of having an entire franchise to essentially support its existence.
Mhm.
Um, and on top of that, I also appreciate that all the other stuff wouldn't have come if not enough people had liked the original series. So my hope is that as we get through season 2 and season 3, we find a lot more redeemable qualities of the show because season 1 is not is not it. It's got good episodes, but not enough of them. Not enough of them.
Somebody said to me the other day, like, season one good, season two good, season three production value. You're going to notice distinct drop off in production value for season three of TOS. So we'll see. We'll see if I notice that or not, or if I go, oh yeah, these are great. Um, I don't know. For me, I think it's. I look at it as uh, it is season one of a new TV series trying to develop its Bible, right? Because unless every episode, like why is Babylon 5 so good right off the bat? Because one guy wrote 100 plus episodes of the season, right? And writes most of the episodes
Mm-hmm.
every year.
Mm-hmm.
Why do people like that show Yellowstone and the stuff that Taylor Sheridan does so well? Because he writes most of it. Why do people really respond to the Orville? Because what's his nuts writes all the episodes.
Seth.
So yeah, so you've got one guy in charge as opposed to a room. You get more continuity. This definitely felt like people trying to find their voice. Um, and when they found it, it was very very good. And like you said, when they didn't find it, it was. Eh,
It was very bad.
eh.
Yeah. A lot of it was
I mean,
absolutely atrocious, and the
I
rest of it was
mean,
middling. But there was a handful, what, like 5 episodes out
yeah,
of out
five
of
two.
out of 30 that were really really good, and that was it.
Yeah, but I mean, until we get to, and me and you have had this conversation privately. I've even said it. Like, Space Nine is my,
Hmm. Yeah.
and when you look at Deep Space Nine season one, there's only one episode. Couldn't say like, oh no, just skip that one episode.
Yeah.
Um, um, because it's hot garbage, and I can't wait to take a shit on that one. To be
I mean,
honest with you.
I am happy to skip watching that episode if you want to,
No,
or
no, we
devoting
have.
an entire episode of the stream just to that episode so that we can tear it to fucking shreds.
I like your second idea better because I want to.
I wanna air my
Oh.
grievances with this episode. I want to immortalize my sheer distaste for this bad episode of TV.
I agree because
Yeah.
man, oh man, oh man, it is, dude, it's rough. But we're a long ways away from there. We've got two more seasons of
TOS, but a lot less episodes per season, which is worth
I think
noting.
it's 28 and then 24. So
Yeah.
yeah, we got about eight
I
less
mean,
episodes.
I mean, if only 5 of 30 were good in
Yeah.
season one, two, and then 4 less episodes are a godsend, right? Like, let's be honest,
Mhm.
a godsend.
Mhm. So if we do next week, if we record our go back, I mean we didn't rate the episodes in the first two, I don't think.
We didn't, but like if we go back and look at the if we go
Or if
back
we
and look at the episode list, we can rate them right now. Like let's have a look.
well let's not, well let's save that for stream. We'll do that on.
We're streaming right now. We're streaming
I
right now.
I know, but I don't want to. We're already at 2.5 hours.
Yeah, we got 30 minutes. That's fine.
All
Um,
right.
you're right. You're fair enough. No, you're fair
We've already been going for 2.5 hours. Let's not. I mean, I'm already going to cut this up into two episodes. By the way, if you are watching this live, we do have a YouTube channel, Board Trekless. These get cut up into smaller episodes, edited together, so that
enough. Hmm.
my perspective and Mac's perspective all mashed together with a little intro movie and an outro movie. They're very good. Come and take a look. I do all the editing, so you can be be sure to crap all over me for my crappy editing as I learn more about it. Right. Um, Again, Board Trekless. If you do go, hey, like, subscribe, do all the things, we would appreciate it because it helps us out.
Sure does.
I don't even know how it helps us out though, because we're not making any money off this. It's just a fun project.
Yeah.
So
So any positive or negative interaction still feeds the algorithm and pushes it out to people. So if you like
yeah,
it will push it out to people that are like-minded and will also maybe like it. If you don't like
yeah,
it will draw the ire of everyone who hates Star Trek. And honestly, I'd rather have a discussion with someone than just have them hate on a thing without having expressed their feelings towards it. So
there
yeah,
you go.
100%. Because you can't solve problems if you don't talk about them, right?
Yeah. We drop new episodes do drop on the YouTube channel every day at noon Eastern Standard Time. Um, so look for new episodes. I think episode 4. I don't, what's what I looked at it right. Episode 4 is the one that's about to drop.
Mhm. Mhm. The streams have started ahead of the YouTube schedule, and they will remain significantly ahead of the YouTube schedule as time goes on, unless we decide to start dropping the backlog of 2 episodes from one stream at some point. Because I mean, we'll eventually end up at a point where we're onto a whole new Star Trek series, and
Well,
we'll still have YouTube videos popping up once a week. So it's maybe
well,
worth speeding up a
well,
wee bit towards that point.
well. I also here's what I'm expecting. Right, I am expecting us to get through TOS before the end of the year.
Hmm.
Right,
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, easy.
and, and and then needing to take a break for things. And obviously, I'm going to be gone over the holidays. And
Hmm.
you've got some stuff planned in January that is going to require a lot of your time. So
Hmm.
having a backlog of episodes while we need to take a break for the holidays is not a bad thing either.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
We'll see, right? I mean, if we need a break, we need a break. If we don't,
Great.
cool.
Yeah.
Hi, J Bulls.
Oh
He's
no,
still here.
is
Oh, he's
is
not
he
even
in your
here.
chat? Is he in your chat? No.
No, he was in yours.
Oh yeah. He's probably gone now. He's probably gone
Yeah, he is.
now.
All right. I don't have anything else to say.
No, I think I'm good too. Star Trek original series.
Season 1.
Hit and a miss for a lot of stuff. But the 5 episodes that stand out were actually very, very good, and I would recommend anyone who's looking to get into Star Trek maybe just grab those 5 episodes from season 1 and just dodge the rest. Um,
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Because I
yeah,
mean, it is episodic instead of serialized, right? So
yeah,
just
yeah.
they are all standalone. Just watch the highlights and skip the lowlights, and you'll be happier.
Hmm. Hmm. Unless you like pain, in which case you need something to measure the good episodes against. I would recommend. Let's see, what episode would I recommend you watch if you want to have a measure of bad versus good? Let's see, because there will be one that we could probably both agree on. Let's have a wee look. Um, what
I'll
would you
have to
say is
go
the
back.
best? What would you say is the best episode of season 1?
It's going to either be the city of the edge of. I think we gave the city on the edge of forever. We gave a 9 to, and then gave a. Let's see. There was one that we gave a balance of terror. I feel like we both gave it a 10.
Hmm. Okay. Would recommend Balance of Terror as your measurement for good. Um,
Shore
and
leave. We gave 2s and 3s to.
or the Galileo 7.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Oh,
what
what did you give Operation Annihilation, by the way?
Operation Annihilation?
The last one.
6.
6. You're
Give it
giving it a
6.
6. All right.
Give it 6.
All right. It is recorded in the document.
Good stuff. It looks like 5.7. What did I aim to be? 5.7. Oh, okay.
What?
Well, you know what? I can totally understand that. The lowest rated episode on IMDb from season 1
Mm-hmm.
is the alternative factor, where our man fights with the alternate version of himself and nearly destroys the galaxy.
Really?
Yeah. 5.7 is the lowest rated episode, and it's that one.
Oh, I would say Finnegan. The episode with Finnegan in it is way worse.
Shore Leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, Finnegan. Finnegan was really obnoxious.
Just FYI, we gave Shore Leave. That's the Finnegan episode. We gave that. You gave that a
hmm
Galileo 7. You gave that a 5.
Mm. I think I like the idea behind Gallows. I think I attached more to it because I can appreciate that we go back to it and other stuff like the Stowe tutorials and stuff. Um,
Tomorrow is yesterday.
mhm.
You gave that one a 4.
Tomorrow's yesterday. That's the one where they go back in time, right, to
Mm-hmm.
the
Court,
military base, right?
Court Martial, you gave that a 3. The
Yeah.
Return of the Archons, I gave it a 2. You gave it a 4.
Mhm.
Yeah. So yeah, there's some low points for sure, but then there's a lot of 8s and 7s.
Mhm.
The alternative factor 4s and 6s,
Mhm.
6s and 5s for upper. I mean, yeah. So
Yeah.
there's some.
There's a mixed bag between the 7s and the 2s, right? Like,
Mhm.
but the good episodes are very good, very good. Are very good. I think our scales maybe a wee bit skewed, just a tiny wee bit, but we'll settle into that. So.
Um. Yeah, I mean, I think it's skewed, but I think it's skewed based off of, we are playing Star Trek, and I think we get a little nostalgic, and also we're looking at this with 2024
hmm Yeah.
about Star Trek today. So, I mean, it definitely skews us, but I don't think in a bad way. I think in a good way.
hmm Well, I mean, certainly hope so.
Yep. So, like I said, episode 4 is scheduled to drop November 27th. So that is giving here in the United States.
hmm
Um, um, we're looking forward to that one going live, and this, which we're just finishing recording, will be episodes 5 and 6
hmm
following weeks. We try to record live on Fridays, but honestly, I think we should gives you more time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, realistically, like there is every chance. The other day there, it took me 3 hours to get home from work.
Yeah.
Because there had been a. Did I tell you about this? I didn't tell you about this, did I?
Mm-mm.
No, there was a suspicious package at the bus terminus at the top end of Glasgow, and 3 guys got arrested
For having a package.
for a suspicious package. It had all sorts in it. I think they thought it was a bomb, but it was like knives and various bits and pieces. So it was considered a very serious incident, and all the diversions and stuff. It took me nearly 2 hours to get from my work into town, which normally takes no more than 30 minutes. And
Oh,
then
good grief.
because of that delay, other stuff was all knocked out of line. So I added an extra hour to my journey home on that end as well. So it took me 3 hours to go up the roads on, was it Tuesday or Wednesday night? So aye.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. So if we do it on the Saturday, we can do it on the Saturday stream. That's totally fine. I'm okay with that. But if you want to do it on the Friday and we're both up to date for the Friday episode, I'm happy to do it on the Friday as well.
Yeah, I didn't even stream yesterday at all. Like I
No?
ended up doing other things, hanging out with the wifey and stuff. So I'm fine.
Okay.
I
Okay.
am fine.
Well, as long as we're both done and ready to go by the Saturday each week, then I guess that's totally fine. That's not a bother.
Hmm. And next week will be an easy one because we're just gonna do a ranking where we officially rank everything and put it all together in one document
Mm-hmm.
for season 1. That'll be fun.
Mm. Yeah, like a lightning round type thing where we just blast through and
Hmm.
do the highlights. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So that'll be easy. So nothing to watch for next week. Then you can obviously start watching season 2.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right. Let me clear out my inventory again. Ooh, I got a yellow one. Ooh,
Oh, very nice, very nice.
so so fancy. I got an epic one. Are you just looking at ships trying to find something worth buying? Is that your?
No, I just occasionally like to look through and just kind of go, maybe at some point, not right now, you know. Um, like, no, I just like occasionally looking through and just having a look at the stuff that's there. Not necessarily to buy it, just because it's there to look at, you know. I mean, some of these things you never ever see. Like, you never see these. You never see these
Every
Mata raptors. You sometimes see the allele warbirds.
well, we know somebody that lives by the Eclipse battle cruiser, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You want me to start flying my Keeb? I could start flying my Keeb
You
for you.
fly your keep. You never see these. You never see the Sky
Yeah,
Rental signs.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Guardian cruisers. You do sometimes see the Dauntless T6, the Experimental Science vessel T6. You do sometimes see that. Um,
Yeah, they're not. Every once in a while, you'll see some version.
mm, mm.
I don't know. All right, I'm gonna cut my stream off. You guys have a great day. I don't have any viewers, so it doesn't matter. Good night, everybody.
Mr. Bob, this comes at Barbary tune 1, 2, 3, 4. Galactic wars and twisted schemes, delightful chaos ruling their dreams. Unpolished words and witty flair, review with mischief without a care. Only go where no one's been. Mac and Dan the Conquering Team, reviewing space with snarky lines, drinking games and warping minds.
All right, I will. My wife just got home with groceries, so that's gonna have to do.
Mr. Bob, this comes at Barbary tune 1, 2, 3, 4. Galactic wars and twisted schemes, delightful chaos ruling their dreams. Unpolished words and witty flair, review with mischief without a care. Only go where no one's been. Mac and Dan the Conquering Team, reviewing space with snarky lines, drinking games and warping minds.
All right, I will. My wife just got home with groceries, so that's gonna have.